All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We were talking about the Tennessee Titans here in tonight's video. I was going to go pick up some Chinese, but I was reading an article over on PFF that had a power ranking grid for all 32 teams in the National Football League. Take a guess real quick where you have the Tennessee Titans or where you think they had the Tennessee Titans. It was way worse than I had anticipated, but I do get it. You know, Tennessee had an underwhelming season and a lot of new changes this year, right? Starting with new quarterback Cam Ward, a lot of veterans though. You know, a lot of guys on the offensive line, a lot of guys on the defensive line, a lot of intriguing rookies. And so I know you guys say this every time I talk about Tennessee in the summer. I know I do this every year. I think actually I predicted Tennessee to like win the AFC South last year. It's somewhere on Twitter. I arranged like the helmets in my projections, and I'm pretty positive Tennessee was number one. But obviously that didn't end up panning out. Here's the thing. Tennessee looked for upside this draft season, this free agency season. They went very high on upside. And you see this getting a little bit deeper in the draft where you have DK, you've got Gunnar Helm, and that like those types of players, right? Eric Ayo Manor. Ayo Manor, what's up? What's good? That was not a good bit. But Tennessee went with upside. And so the 31st team power rankings, you know, on paper, I don't necessarily agree with it. Like, just for example, I can even pull it up right now. I know they had Cleveland at 32. Let's see who number 30 is. The New Orleans Saints. All right. Tennessee's a better team than New Orleans Saints. So I don't agree with the 31st, but I wanted to go through some of the things they said and give my spin on it. And then also a couple of comments that I have. So real quick, before we get into it, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. We post a Titans video on this channel about once a week and try and get this one to 250 likes, folks. It would mean the world to me. I think the defense, we're not going to talk too much about the defense in today's video because I don't really care about the defense. And I mean that in a really good way. Like, first off, folks, they have a really good run defense. It was one of the few things Tennessee did at like a very high above average level in 2024 was defend the run. They ranked 9th in total team run defensive grade last season. And they also had the team's successful run rate allowed just 33.7. That ranked 8th in the league. And that's because, you know, you got Simmons there. You got Sweat, you got Joseph Day. It's a very good defensive line. And now you see guys like Olu Oladejo, loved that move. Cody Barton, Tremont Jones, Xavier Woods in free agency, Lorenzo Carter, even Kevin Winston at safety. I'm really intrigued by that defensive pick. But I wanted to use this video just talk mainly about the offense because that was the biggest issue last year. And that's truly all I care about this season. You know, could Tennessee win 5 games, but have good play from Cam Ward? I think people would be fine with that. The Titans could rattle off 10 wins. They could be somewhere in the middle at 7 or 8. But at the end of the day, all I care about, I'm a Packers fan, so what the hell do I know? But all I care about is the development and progression of Cam Ward. I don't need it to be week 1, but towards the second half of the season, I would say by Thanksgiving, I would like to see Cam Ward, like, let's see it. You know, and that's what I'm anticipating. So Tennessee finished dead last in team PFF passing grade last year with a horrible 57 grade. You know, the Will Levis experiment obviously was a complete and utter failure. They hit the reset button and with the first overall pick, take Cam Ward. Now, one of the more intriguing moves, first off, was Kevin Zeitler. Kevin Zeitler at right guard. We've talked about him numerously all the time on this channel because I talk a bunch of Detroit. And Kevin Zeitler is one of the best in the business. And that's your solidified right guard. And also important to keep in mind that right side, or I would say, like, dude, here's the thing. The Titans should have a good offensive line next season. Lloyd Cushenberry at center, left guard and Peter Skoronski, right guard and Kevin Zeitler, and right tackle and J.C. Latham. What people have concerns about is left tackle Dan Moore. And this could be viewed as your X factor. I think PFF, or maybe it was The Athletic, viewed Cam or Dan Moore Jr. as your sleeper guy, your X factor guy. And the big reason people were kind of up in fits about this is because the contract, he was handed a 4-year, $82 million contract, and he's coming off a bad year. All right. He placed 42nd amongst tackles with 67.2 PFF grade. So even having a really bad season, he was still the 42nd best graded tackle last year. And the assumption I would believe is that Tennessee sees something in him, right? We go back to the beginning of this video, we're talking about upside, and that is really the only thing I could come down with. You know, Dan Moore's stats He gave up a bunch of sacks last year. He gave up a bunch of sacks the year before it. He wasn't grading well in run, wasn't grading well even in pass pro. But who was it? Like Kenny Pickett just took a shot at Mike Tomlin the other day. I remember watching, I think it was like Colin Cowherd one day in the summer, and they had some OG offensive lineman come on, and he's like, look, man, a lot of the offensive line comes down to coaching. And so I'm not calling Mike Tomlin a bad coach, or not calling the Steelers offensive line coach a bad coach. But my point is, Tennessee wanted him. They paid a bunch of money for him. And so if Dan Moore hits, then it should be a really good offensive line, at least in my opinion. And this could be huge for Cam Ward because he just led all FBS quarterbacks with a 92.6 PFF grade last season. He placed second in the nation with 31 big-time throws. And this is huge, man. Tennessee, I don't even need to explain it to you, but Tennessee had only 43 passes of 20 yards last season, which was the sixth worst mark in the league. Cam Ward, when the ball is thrown 20 yards or more down the field, he produced 12 touchdowns to only 1 interception. So Cam Ward's going to bring stability. I also love this running back room with Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears. I think there's so much there. I really loved the move of Tony Pollard this past offseason. The tight end room is also really intriguing with Chick Okonkwo. I'm still hopeful on him, man. I tweet a lot about him a couple of years ago. And then you got Josh Wiley coming off an intriguing rookie season. And then you got Gunnar Helm. And that's kind of where I stand still. And I do this every Tinesville. Chimere Dike, I always feel like I'm saying that wrong. So I might even just show pictures because there's this one media company that clips every single college highlight ever. It's absolutely ridiculous. But DK is extremely fast, 4.34 second in the 40-yard dash. He also ranked in the top 25 nationally in receptions of over 20 yards downfield and a deep receiving grade. So long, big upside target, hopefully for Cam Ward, big time player right there. And Gunnar Helm, very similar in the sense. He jumped from 14 catches to 60 for 786 yards and 7 touchdowns last year with Texas, but there's still a lot of development there. All right. He's probably going to be the third tight end on this roster because he posted a 66.9 PFF pass blocking grade and then a 43.5 run blocking grade. All right. He's very tough. He's very resilient. He got injured in the NFL Combine, but still participated in his drills. And I feel the same way about Elic Manor. I love saying that. Manor was good, man. You guys traded up to get him. He was the highest ranked remaining player on a lot of people's big boards heading into day 3. Finished last year at Stanford with a 74.3 PFF grade. And once again, you're betting on the upside here. He had a really crazy game against Travis Hunter and the Colorado Buffaloes in 2023 where he had 294 yards. So I'm intrigued, man. I like it. I know this was just kind of more of a reaction video to being the 31st ranked roster. I don't really agree with it, but it is what it is. I get the track record for Tennessee hasn't gone well in the last few seasons, but I hope you guys are excited because I'm a Packers fan. I'm excited for you. So hit that like button, hit that sub button. Let me know your thoughts down below. Give me a loose win projection grade for Tennessee, and we'll see you in a couple of days. Peace.